Well, it seems like even now, Dr. Umar Johnson is still being allowed to spread his lies and hypocrisy on other people's podcasts. Seriously, people, I know it's entertaining to see Umar on live saying stupid shit, but can't we just let him do it on his phone as opposed to giving him a platform? Anyways, let's see the Umar Dumbar in action. Roll the clip, Obama.
When you were mentioning black couples, one of the couples that you mentioned with Cardi B and Offset.
Yes.
Cardi B is Trinidadian and Dominican.
Okay.
I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican.
Okay.
When you think about the Latino community, what is your thoughts on that as far as everything?
It's diverse, like the rest of the race. So my great-grandfather was Cuban, right? Spanish-speaking Cuban. I met him on his deathbed many years ago. I know Puerto Ricans who identify with the African race. I know many more who don't. I know Dominicans who identify with the African race. I know many more who don't.
Umar, you do know that race is not something you can just choose to identify with, right? I mean, the very idea of race isn't single definition. Race means different things depending on the context. For example, there's the scientific definition of a race, which is all about which species you are, and then there is the social definition. This is where you get white, black, Asian, Indian, etc. None of which are true races, but just identities we give ourselves. With that being said, you aren't a different race from white people. You are a member of the human race, and so is every other living human being on the planet. While you might try to argue that you lack Neanderthal DNA while whites do, that argument is unscientific and unsupported. Plus, the Neanderthals as a species are dead anyway, so it does not matter. Your efforts to promote racism and division are driven by greed and a pathetic need for attention rather than genuine belief.
Trinidadians, right, generally, they will identify with the African race, right? So you really have to ask, right? I don't make assumptions. When I meet Latino men and women, I ask them, how do you identify? Some will tell you, I identify more with the indigenous people. Some will tell you, I identify more with Spain and Spanish, right? And then some will tell you, I'm black, my ancestors black, I identify with Africa. So you gotta ask, because Latino is not a race, it's a culture, it's an ethnicity. So
Correct, Umar. Latino is an ethnicity, so is black and white. Anything where membership can be got through personal acceptance and identity is essentially just culture. That makes your whole African race nonsense even less substantial, since your own fucking logic tells you that you were born into a race rather than choose to become one. Look, if you could actually be right in literally anything you are saying, why does no university agree with you? Not one college of any credited institution has ever said, we agree with Umar. Other non-credited universes might, like those Hebrew Israelites, but even then those people don't own a campus. They just sit around and make shitty communes and having meetings in parking lots, usually demanding money from each other just to hear from their leaders. I think we now know who's to blame for teaching you how to be such a fucking scumbag in life.
you have to inquire who they identify with.
And so we know that the famous narrative, the big argument with Ish, right? The snow bunnies.
Okay.
So when it comes to a Latino, if you see a black man dating a Latino woman,
does she identify as African full time? Would be the question. Because I've dated Latino women, right? And once I came to realize that you don't really identify with the African race, I had to end the relationship. You see what I'm saying? So, and brothers text me all the time, right? Oh, I'm dating a Latino woman. Is that okay, Doc? Am I bunny hopping? How does she identify?
I really don't believe anyone is actually texting this man, asking if it's okay to be with the women they're dating. First of all, why would they even care about his opinion? Obviously, if you are attracted to a woman and she is receptive of your feelings, you are going to prioritize your happiness over the approval of others. Moreover, if what Umar Dumbass Bar was saying were true, this would mean he started a cult where people are so worried of being kicked out of his community that they tell him what they are doing all the time. To that, I can only say you are stupid for letting your life being dictated to by a middle-aged creep who not only does not have the background he lied to you about, but also does the opposite of what he demands of you.
Now, talking about American African, and when we're in America, the word that gets thrown out a lot when it comes to struggle and how do we get out the struggle, reparations. Do you feel that that is a real possibility?
It absolutely is, but not without unity. We'll never get reparations without unity, and if we do get it, it will be a fraction of what you're entitled to.
Okay, viewers, this is going to sound controversial, and I already know some of you are going to hate me for saying this, but as of 2025, the idea of reparations are ridiculous and undeserved. Now, while I could give the very commonly used argument of no African Americans alive today suffered directly from segregation or slavery to justify the need to be compensated since you and your ancestors are not the same, I will instead make this point. If you actually have been paying attention to the last 60 years or so, America already tried to give reparations, and it was a disaster for everyone involved. While people like Umar and the host would likely deny it by playing ignorant, there is no denying that when we had affirmative action as a policy, the roles of who got advantages from society for the basis of skin color were reversed rather than eliminated. Where Jim Crow said that only whites could go to college, affirmative action said blacks needed to be accepted into college regardless of education, and that whites should be rejected if the racial quota was met. So essentially, more whites would be rejected on the basis of race, while blacks would gain access due to race. Where Jim Crow barred many African Americans from getting well-paid jobs, affirmative action said hiring should be based on racial quota rather than skill. So many applicants would be rejected and accepted based on how many people of race they needed at the time. Whites being the majority meant most would be rejected. The point I am making is that the U.S. has tried the idea of reparations as a system, and it led to the same racial inequality issues, but in reverse. At this stage in our society, where there are no barriers to employment on race, certainly no laws against you for being a certain race, there is no justification for reparations in our time, since no one is given an unfair advantage or disadvantage based on race. And to demand such things now would serve only to unbalance the legal and political equality we currently have and strive to keep.
You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
Because here's the thing. Any disorganized people can be exploited by more organized people. So you have a reparations organization. He has a reparations organization. You got one. He got one. We got 5 different reparations organizations. So guess what I'm gonna do if I'm the United States government? I'm gonna cooperate with the one who's giving me the easiest package.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna be exploited and played off. You know.
While there is a kernel of truth in what Umar is saying, the fact of the matter is that he does not believe in reparations. Remember, he has been scamming you guys for years and stole $4 million from the black community. So, Umar would be the devil in disguise pretending to agree with you and then say, great, you got your money now, donate to FDMG. He does not care about reparations, he cares only about his McDonald's money.
Now, if I was in charge of the reparations movement, a couple things. Number one, if you're a bunny hopper, you ain't getting no reparations at all. You're not going to take my ancestors' pay and take it right back to the damn Neanderthal queen. We're not doing that. So,
First of all, you wouldn't give anyone shit if you were in charge. Second of all, what the hell does who someone sleeps with have to do with if you should get paid or not? That's like saying you got your house set on fire by the KKK, but because we know you slept with Susie that night, you aren't entitled to insurance or a new house. That's fucking retarded.
any interracial, you're banned from getting it, right? And here's another thing. When Negroes say we need to be segregated again, we did better. Does that also mean you want to give your white wife back? Because that was part of the segregation. You feel me? They said we need to be segregated again because we did better under segregation. That means you have to give your snow bunny back. Or are you going to do that? Hell no, so shut up.
I would argue that anyone who argues blacks did better under segregation is a fucking moron. They clearly don't know what it's like to be forced to give up bus seats for a white man or be forced to use filthy bathrooms. Plus, they also don't realize that they would be systemically forced to stay in poverty under such a system. But regardless, it wouldn't just stop with the white wife. It would be everything you fucking own and then be forced to stay in your own squalor if segregation were to be reinstalled, idiots.
You don't want segregation back because she got to go back. Remember, Loving versus Virginia was 1967. That's when the Supreme Court outlawed interracial bans on interracial marriage. That was all part of the civil rights era.
Right.
So you can't say put me back in segregation, but let me keep my white girl. All or nothing. They're not going to give up that white girl. In fact, a lot of them Negroes fought for deseg so they can desegregate the pale vagina. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck, right? So.
No, Umar dumbass bar. Their main motivation wasn't for white women. Their motivation was, hey, why do I have to sit in a colored-only seat? Why can't I be as successful as my white neighbors? And then, unlike you, Umar Dumbar, they did everything they could to get rid of such a system and succeeded. It's so sad that now all their efforts are benefited by dumbasses like you who spit on their memory and try to revert all their previous works. Alright, that's the end of this video. If I listen to any more of this stupidity, I might catch the Umar disease. People like, comment, and subscribe, and please protect yourself from Umar 19 and stay away from him.